Welcome back to Studio F. We're on Fast Times Willy B. We will be reviewing The Godfather 2. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Take it away, Russell.
Welcome back to Fast Times Willy B. I'm Willy B. I've got Brennan back with me. I should say we are actually reviewing The Godfather Part II. Gotta say that correctly. But how are you doing today?
I'm good.
Yeah.
It's a late one.
Yeah.
But
Ready to talk more Godfather?
of course.
This
always.
one's another fun one to talk about.
Yeah.
So we obviously got Francis Ford Coppola back in the director's chair for the second installment. Al Pacino taking on the lead role as Michael Corleone. And we've got most of the same cast. I mean, drop Marlon Brando. You've got Robert Duvall. James Caan makes an appearance at the end, so you can count him in the cast list. Talia Shire. And then obviously a lot of the supporting characters. This was another one with a big presence at the Academy Awards. Tacome Best Picture. Tacome, Robert De Niro. I should mention him, I guess, in the cast as well. He did end up winning actor in a supporting role. It was nominated once again for just about everybody in the cast in a supporting role, and Al Pacino got a nomination but did not win. It ended up winning music, which, and we had that conversation of like, can you repeat, and maybe it's different, but it won. And yeah, Coppola won Best Director, also Best Adapted Screenplay. So once again, very present at the Academy Awards. So once again, we'll start with the good, and this is just the category where we're going to stick around for probably most of this review. And once again, I can say it just had that vibe. I really like, the first time I watched this, I didn't know how I felt about the jumping back and forth between
With
young
him
Vito and Michael.
Yeah.
This time I loved it.
Oh, yeah.
I texted you after and I was like, dude, I like The Godfather 2 a lot more on the second watch. Not that I didn't like it the first time. The first time I still really enjoyed this movie, but watching it with separation between these two, I think added to the value of Part 2.
Yeah, I mean, like we mentioned we watched all three basically in one sitting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, back to back, 3.5 hour, close to.
With just a Stromboli in between,
Yeah, that's a lot to take on.
Yeah, this go around, I enjoyed it more. Like I don't know, I just felt more into the story. Both stories too. I mean, obviously, Robert De Niro takes over the role of Vito Corleone in this one, and starting as Vito Andolini. So you find out that he changed his name and named it after the city he came from when he migrated over to the United States. But you get to see a little run-in the Andolinis had with the Don over there in Corleone, and that was cool. You kind of like, see the inspiration for Vito. And, when you're seeing that at a young age, it makes complete sense on how he ended up becoming what he was over in America. But just his story, like him, getting a run-in with the Don in New York, and how he ends up leading to his demise. Like, I loved following that. This go-around, I really enjoyed the bouncing back and forth. And obviously with Michael, just continuing his story from the first one, and now that he's Don Corleone, and he's calling the shots, and there's a little bit of betrayal that happens. I think the betrayal storyline was really good with Fredo. Just, once again, I mean...
Masterpiece.
Yeah,
Phenomenal.
I mean, there's truly no wonder in why the first two won Best Picture. If you wonder why, I don't think we watched the same movie, because it makes complete sense.
Ah, it's so good.
It is
so good.
That's like the only thing you can say.
Yeah, I know.
Something I gotta say in the good and put emphasis on. I love the Lake Tahoe compound.
I do too.
Like the setting of it. I want to live in that compound so bad.
If I go on my search history, there will be so many searches of...
If it's like an Airbnb or something like that.
Yes, and at one time, a couple years ago, you could rent it for like $30,000 or something a month. It's crazy.
We gotta start saving up so if they relist it.
It's not listed anymore. But yes, I just loved that. And then trying to find where it was because it wasn't listed anymore. Yeah. There's a couple that are close. One looks like kind of like similar. Like, not the house itself, but like you kind of have that like pavilion kind of area. And then obviously the kind of like in the beginning where the whole, like, I mean, it's kind of like in the first one when they have the wedding and like they're in the house. It's kind of that same setting where they're having their own thing outside
and the compound
and then
the
inside.
donation.
Yeah, so there's a picture of that kind of look similar, but it's not the same address.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
I love the setting in this one because we do bounce around a lot. Obviously, Lake Tahoe's where the compound is. We have some Vegas scenes because the Corleone has a big presence in Vegas now with the gambling industry. We have a run in over in DC with some court cases, which I really enjoyed that stuff a lot more in this watch.
Yeah,
like the court and Michael's speech that he gives on how he's innocent, even though you obviously know he's not. And then we also get some shots in Cuba, which I don't know if it was actually filmed in Cuba, but like the stuff going on over there with Hyman Roth, New Year, Los Año Nuevo that's going on over there, and that's where you find out Fredo is you find out when he gets the phone call in his silk sheets, but Michael finds out about Fredo when they're at that New Year's Eve party, and it's just like you can see the face acting because it's who is it, Johnny Olna or something like that.
Yeah, so
he kind of
Fredo asks if he knows any of them, and Michael kind of gives him the was it Hyman Roth and Ola, and he's like didn't know him, but then when they go to that party, he said, "Oh, Johnny showed it to me," and then you could kind of see that
it clicked in Michael. Then he gives him the big kiss, and he's like,
"I know it was you.
I know it was you." What did he say? "You broke my heart." Yeah. Masterpiece.
So good.
It really is. These first two, I still will go on record to say I enjoy the first one.
I do too.
A little bit more. But you'll see with my score.
Well, I was gonna say I have something to say about the score and why I score it, but I am totally behind your scoring also.
Yeah. Man.
I'm kind of shocked that Al Pacino didn't win an award for this one. I thought
honestly,
he was phenomenal.
I thought him and De Niro were obviously, anytime you get a movie with Pacino and De Niro, they're probably going to be the standout. Yeah. But they were the two standouts in this film, especially being the leads of the bounce back and forth. But yeah, I was really surprised Pacino didn't win. I didn't even look up to see who won Best Actor that year.
Yeah,
I'm hoping it's somebody that deserved it, but we can only hope, right? It was Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw, best lead actor, best lead actor. But yeah, man, like I said, bouncing back and forth, I really dug this time around. Again, I liked it the first time. I just felt like it kind of broke up the movie weird for me when I was watching it back to back. I think watching it back to back made the pacing weird for me, but this time I enjoyed the pacing a lot.
Breaking it up.
Like going back and forth between the stories.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed our time with Vito this time around. Just like the throwback New York, the grimy, like my favorite scene in this movie might be when he hunts down the Don and he's like walking along the rooftop.
On the rooftop, seeing him.
And then when he breaks the gun and throws it down different chimneys, like that scene is iconic. It's epic. So, because I would say, like, again, in the first movie, I loved that restaurant scene. Best scene in the movie for me.
It's a very good scene.
In this one, I think it might be, which is crazy because, like, this movie is about Michael. Mostly about Michael.
Yeah.
But the Vito stuff still gets me. Michael had my favorite first scene. He got the kill, So, got to give it to Vito this time around.
That's fair.
But, yeah, man. God,
just so much. I'd say it's... Oh, that'd be so nice.
I know. It's like they had time in Cuba and we want to go to Lake Tahoe's compound.
Right.
Lake Tahoe is still a beautiful place to visit, and I've never gotten the opportunity, so...
I have not either.
Add it to
even
the list.
Though I've been there. Yeah. Like California, that area. But
yeah, I've been near
it's just so much about this movie. So good.
Yeah.
Just see how slowly Michael's falling apart, he's...
You almost see him become a villain.
I would say...
By the end of the movie,
essentially is.
Once Kay starts to leave him and he hits her, and then you can tell it kind of affects the kids a little bit. His son, which we'll get into this in the third one, it has a weird dynamic with... That's one of my gripes with the third one. We'll talk about it. But his son, won't give Kay a kiss, and, so it's causing waves. Then his son's getting really attached to Fredo, and then he obviously puts once his mom passes away, he puts the hit on Fredo.
Yeah.
And so... That's a crazy scene, too. The first time I watched this, I didn't see it coming. I was like, oh, these guys are just going out, and then I should have. That's on me.
It's what was that book that we read when... Oh, we read it in high school. And
Outsiders?
Is it Lenny?
Oh,
looked that way and he shoots him in the back of the head.
Yeah,
might have been. Yeah, that's what it seemed like to me. Yeah. He's saying his Hail Mary, hoping he catches this big fish.
Yeah,
looking out into the water, a time that he shared with his brothers. It's obviously he didn't get to share the moment with his nephew, but
I said my Hail Marys tonight. It didn't work, so. It's literally my Letterboxd review for Rudy. If you go on to Letterboxd and look at my Rudy review before the game, but nonetheless, we're here afterwards. So at least I'm still being positive about this movie. I could be a sourpuss. So
that's true.
3 might catch some strays, but no, that Fredo scene is just it. It's weird to say it because it's murder, but it really is a beautiful ending to the second one, given like the context of what happened.
Yeah, I mean, you understand it, and then I mean. Like you were saying with the whole scene of, I mean, that, but then his mom dying, and he wanted him to stay alive until his mom passed, and then it was a sister that was trying to
keep him civil and bring him back together.
And then he goes out there and hugs him, and then, I don't know, you might think it's slowly, they might be okay, and then...
See, what I like about it is, in the first movie... 2 lines that stick out to me when thinking about the Fredo situation were family coming first, like that whole quote we get from Vito, and never let anyone outside the family know what you're thinking. And so, which one weighs more? Fredo obviously let outside the family know what he was thinking and betrayed the family. But if family's everything, should you have killed him? So I love how those two themes were so heavy in that first movie. Like, family's everything, but don't let anyone outside the family know what you're thinking. And then now they contradict each other.
But I also think Fredo's been doing it since the first one with Mo Green.
That's true.
When they had that meeting, Mo was slapping him around and Michael got mad, and Fredo stuck up for Mo. Like, oh, he's just, you know, we're... whatever, co-workers, we're working together, he's got to keep me, you know, whatever.
Fredo's always been the outcast.
Yeah, which, I mean, it sucks. He's the older brother, and like he says, I mean, obviously things are already bad, but Michael said, I've always taken care of you, and he said, oh, my little brother always taking care of me. Like, he's, you know, he's a big brother, he should be doing it, but I don't know. It sucks to see, because like you were saying, how big family is, and then Fredo's, you know, going against the family. But it was... Tom Hagen's
great again.
Yeah.
I wish Michael pulled him in more, like...
I was about to say that. I was about to say that. He kind of kicked him out. But he gives his explanation.
Yeah.
And which, I mean, it makes sense. But, I do wish he pulled him in more.
Yeah, watching this time around, it didn't feel like 3 hours and 22. I thought the pacing was a lot better on, like, giving it a break.
Yeah, like I said, that's a lot to do. Back.
So I enjoyed the pacing. I enjoyed the bouncing back and forth. I enjoy the ending we get with Vito and, you know, the olive oil deal and him slicing open the Don over there in
Italy.
Oranges
again.
Yeah, oranges are heavily present again.
He before Vito kills him, he walking down the street picked up an orange. And so I noticed that was one of the big ones that I noticed, but it just carried over into the second one.
Notre Dame won the Orange Bowl. Death of Notre Dame. Anyways, another thing I liked, everything. I love the scene when Fredo and Michael are talking in Cuba before the party. He's like, how do you say banana daiquiri? And he goes,
Banana daiquiri.
I'll take a banana daiquiri. Oh, no, banana daiquiri and a soda water. I thought that was funny. And once again, it's very well acted. I mean, we mentioned the awards it was nominated and won for. There's no bad performances from Talia Shire to any of the goons to Hyman Roth to obviously Michael and Vito. It just...
all nominated.
Francis Ford Coppola once again did his thing. He obviously won Best Director, and I think the direction's great. I think the story's great. I think the writing's great. You're starting to figure out what my score is for this movie. What do you got? What else do you got in the good score? Score once again is great.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, between that and the first and that one, just the score is phenomenal. Yeah. But I don't know. It's so hard to pick one scene out of these. Like you said, in the first one was the restaurant, which is iconic, which that led into
200 minutes of movie to pick a scene from.
It's just. I don't know. I like the court scene a lot.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
Especially, like another part of that court scene that was really good too is when they bring in what's his name?
Frank's brother.
Yeah.
From Italy.
Yeah.
Who just his presence kind of.
Yeah, and they bring in Frank, and he's like ready to spill the beans, and then they bring in his brother, and
just seeing him's
like, oh, the FBI was wanting me to answer that way.
Yeah, and then just that whole thing.
I helped with the olive oil business.
Yeah. way back when. But no, like you were saying, like Michael's whole speech with that, and then when Frank flipped, and like the whole. I don't know, what do you want to call it? The Congress, whatever, the people that sit up there.
The panel,
just completely like freaking out. Like,
I'm going to get down to the bottom of this. Quarters adjourned.
Yeah. And then, but like they say his brother can't even speak English, and just them looking, like seeing each other.
Tom Hagen, once again, very well spoken.
Yeah.
I love when Tom Hagen interjects with like law talk in both of these movies. When he's like,
I mean, he stood up. He said, "I can answer that."
He's the man.
So good. And then, and then another Tom Hagen when he goes and meets Frank, and they talk about Rome, and then and eventually ends up, Frank, killing himself, and then obviously I'm pretty sure they said they would take care of Frank's family if he did that, which it sucks, but.
Michael visited somebody watching college football in this game, and it was Notre Dame game. If you listen to the TV in the background,
was that?
Yeah, Michael, when he visited, I can't remember who it was he visited, because it wasn't Hyman Roth or Frank. But anyways, he visited the house, and the guy was watching college football. And if you listen to the TV,
Hyman Roth?
Was it Hyman Roth?
It might have been.
Okay, maybe it was. It might have been Hyman Roth. Anyways, he visited whoever was at their home, and they were watching college football. And if you listen to the TV, it was a Notre Dame game.
I didn't know that.
There's obviously a very heavy religion aspect to these movies, especially when you get to the third one. And so it doesn't surprise me that Notre Dame was the one.
Notre Dame was, they were good back then.
Yeah, this was taking place, the 50s are the first two, right? Because it's the 70s.
40s, 50s.
Yeah, because it's the 70s in the third one. So, you're looking at, Notre Dame was like the powerhouse from the 30s to the 70s, and still pretty good in the 80s and 90s. It's not.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Maybe it's just something I noticed because I'm a Notre Dame fan, but
very possible.
Gotta put it in the good. They said Notre Dame.
All right, so I have one bad thing.
Okay, so are we done with the good?
No, that's Notre Dame. I'm joking.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't have anything outside of good for this one either.
Okay, so we're skipping the man bag again?
For me, yeah.
I don't have anything.
Okay.
I don't have anything. Yeah. Do we want to hop to final thoughts? Is there anything you want to...
No. I could go on and on. I feel like we jumped around.
Talk about every scene.
Let's
break down the whole 3 hour and 22 minutes in 3 hours and 22 minutes. Just sit here, talk about every frame.
Have a plane right here and just watch it.
Yeah.
Just record us watching.
Great. Fantastic.
So good.
Well, up to our final thoughts and ratings. What do you want to leave off with The Godfather Part II, and what do you give it out of 10?
It's phenomenal. I don't know. Obviously, you heard us talk for how long now, and there's just nothing outside of good. But, no, like you said earlier, the first one is still my favorite. Mm-hmm. Just barely.
Yeah.
I feel like, okay, so if we're going 0.5 points for ratings, I would have to give it a 9.5, just because I feel like that's my differential between the two.
Yeah.
And like the half point gives me The Godfather being the first one being my favorite. However, that's
only going full points, you're going to 10.
Yes, and like I would give it a 10. They're both 10 out of 10s, but that half point, I guess, shows my
separation
of favorite and not favorite.
Yeah.
But then I was gonna get back to you is, I guess you could have two 10 out of 10s and just this one's my favorite 10 out of 10. This one, but I guess that's kind of where in my head the separation is. But I think they're both flawless. I don't have any criticism for either of them, and so, I would give it a 10 out of 10, but officially, I guess I have to give it a 9.5.
Yeah. I'm going to go 10 out of 10. I still think the first one is a better 10 out of 10. Like I said, that's in my 10 perfect movies. This one, God, after watching it the second time, which is crazy, because when we watched in the Palace, I was like at an 8.5. And I think it was just watching them back to back. Yeah. I think it was just watching them back to back. Like, I think 3 hours and 22 minutes after a 2 hour and 15.5 minute movie, just back to back. Great experience because of where we watched it, but I just feel like it kind of hurt it because it felt, I guess maybe the pacing felt like it was taking a hit because it felt like it was a 5 hour movie after that. But watching it with separation this time, I was like, man, this might be the 11th perfect movie for me. I truly loved every second of this rewatch. So yeah, easy 10 out of 10 for me. I apologize to the viewers of this that we have just been absolutely glazing these first two movies.
I'm not.
But we'll have some fun with the third one. We'll have some things to say. We'll have some different categories other than the good. I'm anticipating for me, at least. I know for a fact. We'll see. But yeah, man, The Godfather Part II, once again, hell yeah.
Masterpiece.
Yeah.
So good.
So good. That'll do it for The Godfather Part 2. Brennan, thanks for coming on, my man. Thank you all for watching. If you like what you're watching, check out some of these other videos. Hit the subscribe button or follow the social links down below. Go check out the last Godfather review. Check this one out. I mean, you just did. And be ready for tomorrow. Godfather Part 3 review will be coming your way. Thank you guys again. We'll talk to you all soon. Peace.